All right, let's go ahead and get started on the regular council meeting. Wait a minute, I'm missing somebody.
Might as well wait. Might as well wait.
There we go, here he comes. Is he? Good, perfect, thank you. Yeah, no problem. Okay, if we can please call the roll.
Certainly, Mayor. Mayor Bright Cruz,
Here.
Vice Mayor Albritton,
Present.
Councilmember Hartman,
Here.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Here.
Councilmember Kaczynski.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Great, thank you. All right, if you please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We've got a few items to cover. And I'd like to start off with, we have a presentation from Waste Management, WM. And so, Barbara, we always appreciate all the help and the guidance that you've provided as we've made this transition. Been super smooth. Our residents have, it's been received extremely well. And so we appreciate all that you are doing and looking forward to the presentation tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here again before this wonderful council. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Vice Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Barbara Herrera with Waste Management, also known as WM. So our new branding is WM. Thank you again for this opportunity to present a very brief presentation, which is an update on your HHW. So is it, there you go. So I want to just update you on how we're doing with the HHW events here in the town. So we've had 2 events this year, January 7th and recently April 29th. And I'm sure many of your residents have participated in that. I know some of you have. I know Councilman Kaczynski has. And certainly it's been a success. So I wanted to tell you how much of a success, because good job, Southwest Ranches. In 2 events, we have collected a total amount of almost 16 tons of hazardous waste. 16 tons, Mayor.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That is fantastic. That's waste that will not end up in the landfill, that will not end up on the side of the road. It's going to be properly disposed of, taken care of with care, transported accordingly. And Southwest Ranches residents, they know what they're doing. So the amount of material that we have, well, what's the most that people are taking to our events? Mostly it's electronics. In January, they brought us 10,000 pounds of electronics. 10,000 pounds of electronics. That was cut in half in April with 5,000 pounds. But I have a theory that, obviously the January event was immediately after the holidays, and people were staying home, they were vacationing, they were cleaning out their garages, etc. They were trying to make room for the presents that they might have gotten, and in with the new, out with the old. And boy, out with the old, we got 10,000 pounds of electronics, computers, all sorts of equipment, etc. What else did they bring us? They brought us, if you'll notice, they brought us paint, a lot of latex paint. Oops. Latex paint, waste paint, etc. And it's just a whole plethora of things. And I'm just going to go through very, very briefly so you have some sort of idea as to what other types of items Southwest Ranches residents are bringing to us. Okay? Light bulbs, corrosive liquid, lead batteries, propane fire extinguishers, aerosols, flammable liquids, etc. So that's just a list of many, many items that they're bringing. So please know that our next event is coming up in July 29th, and then we have one more event after that in September. We have 4 events a year. We encourage your residents to come out again, and if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them, and I look forward to seeing you all out there. It's a lot of fun to see those pickup trucks full of stuff. Just
It is.
come on into Rolling Oaks Barn and
Awesome.
and leave empty, so that's fantastic.
Great, great. Thank you, Barbara. It is fantastic. It's, it's great that the service is there, and it's awesome that the residents are really taking advantage of it, so.
Yes, sir.
It's good.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments for Barbara while she's here?
Just a quick compliment.
Oh.
I have not had the first call on trash or bulk or recycling not being picked up since October when we started the new contract.
Yeah.
That's
Not a
wonderful.
single phone call.
That's wonderful, sir. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. We
Night and
we
day
take a lot
difference.
of we take
Yeah.
a lot of pride in our service. Certainly, if there's any issue, you know that you can always refer them to me, and we're happy to assist any way that we can.
Great. Thank you,
Thank
Barbara.
you.
Thanks for coming out.
Enjoy your evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, and next on the agenda, we have a proclamation that Councilmember Kaczynski is going to be bringing forth.
Mayor, the month of May is Jewish American Heritage Month.
Yeah.
And it's being celebrated by municipalities and other governmental agencies throughout the United States. Councilmember Kaczynski, who couldn't be present tonight, asked if he could please read this into the record at the June hearing.
Okay,
to
perfect.
recognize that it is the month of May, but he would like to read it into the record with
Absolutely.
your permission.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, David. Thanks for bringing that forward. Appreciate it. All right. Public comment. We have public comment this evening.
Mayor, we have two public comment cards, Jill Aronofsky, followed by Newell Hollingsworth, and that's it for tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, Jill.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. I'm here to represent Mom's Demand Action, and the proclamation has to do with declaring, that's a good one, June 2nd, which is the first Friday of June, gun violence. So I'll read the proclamation and enter it in the record. This proclamation declares the first Friday in June to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day in the town of Southwest Ranches to honor and remember all victims and survivors of gun violence and to declare that we, as a country, must do more to end the public health crisis. Whereas every day more than 120 Americans are killed by gun violence and more than 200 are shot and wounded, with an average of more than 17,000 gun homicides every year. And whereas Americans are 26 times more likely to die by gun homicide than people in other high-income countries. Whereas in Florida, 2,989 people die by guns in an average year, with a rate of 13.3 deaths per 100,000 people, a crisis that costs the state $40.3 billion each year, of each $875.9 million is paid by taxpayers. Florida has the 30th highest rate of gun deaths in the U.S., and whereas gun homicides and assaults are concentrated in cities with more than half of all firearm-related gun deaths in the nation, occurring in 127 cities, and whereas cities across the nation, including in Southwest Ranches, are working to end senseless violence with evidence-based solutions, and whereas protecting public safety in the communities they serve is Mayor's highest responsibility, and whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from people with dangerous histories, and whereas mayors and law enforcement officers, in partnership with local violence intervention activities and resources, know their communities best, are the most familiar with local criminal activity and how to address it, and are best positioned to understand how to keep their citizens safe. And whereas gun violence prevention is more important than ever as we see an increase in firearm homicides and non-fatal shootings across the country, increased calls to domestic violence hotlines, and an increase in city gun violence. Whereas in January 2013, Hidea Pendelson was tragically shot and killed at age 15 and on June 2nd, 2023, to recognize the 26th birthday of Hidea Pendleton, born June 2nd, 1997. People across the United States will recognize National Gun Violence Awareness Day and wear orange in tribute to Hidea and other victims of gun violence and the loved ones of those victims. And whereas the idea was inspired by a group of Hidea's friends who asked their classmates to commemorate her life by wearing orange. They chose this color because hunters wear orange to announce themselves to other hunters when out in the woods, and orange is a color that symbolizes the value of human life. And whereas anyone can join this campaign by pledging to wear orange on June 2nd, the first Friday in June in 2023, to help raise awareness gun violence, and whereas by wearing orange on June 2nd, 2023, Americans will raise awareness about gun violence and honor the lives of gun violence victims and survivors. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the hands of people who should not have access to them, and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our families and communities safe. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Mayor Steve Bright Cruz of Southwest Ranches, Florida, declares the first Friday in June 2nd, 2023 to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day. I encourage all citizens to support their local communities' efforts to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and to honor and value human lives. And this was read throughout Broward County so far. It was read at the Broward School Board a few weeks ago, and today, or this week, it was read by the Broward Commissioners.
Great.
And thank you very much for letting me present it.
Yeah, absolutely, Jill. Thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to do something that's a little bit out of order here. Councilman Kozinski, as you're aware, is not here. He's on the phone. He's going to have to jump on a plane in about 45 minutes, and I want to make sure that he participates in one of the later items. So I'm requesting we'll just take a pause in public comment. We will come back to public comment and finish that up. But based on Councilman Kozinski's schedule, I'd like a motion to please move up item number 12 to.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Can we take a vote on that?
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Albritton?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you all.
Mayor, we still have two more speakers from the public. Do you want to finish public?
No.
Okay.
No. But we'll come back to it. And I did want to mention also, obviously, you can see Andy is not here, not feeling well, but he's on the road to recovery, and he will be back soon. So we wish him the best, and I know he's listening in. So get better soon, Andy. All right. So let's go ahead and hear item number 12, please.
Item number 12 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, entering into an interlocal agreement with Broward County to participate as a municipal party in an independent legal entity known as the Solid Waste Disposal and Recyclable Materials Processing Authority of Broward County, Florida, attached hereto as Exhibit A and incorporated herein, and authorizing the proper town officials to execute, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Great. Thank you. All right. Before we, I don't know, I guess we need a motion, a second to discuss this, but I know we have some serious discussion to do on this item. Motion?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second, so I'll bring it up. We have some, I don't know, were you all going to do any sort of a presentation? We have some wonderful guests. The Mayor of Broward County is here. Steve Ross is here. So we just, please come on up. If you say a few words, appreciate it. Whoever's. Sorry, I didn't get the memo on how this was. Who was going to see what happens when Andy's not here? But Russell's doing a fine job. But
it is all good. Let me just introduce the County Commission.
This is Beam Fur, your county commissioner. On my left,
Thank you.
your right is Commissioner Mayerson from Parkland and the president of the Broward League of Cities. You have the executive director, Mary Lou, in the back, and myself, I think you know, is Mayor of Cooper City and the chair of the Solid Waste Working Group.
Great, thank you.
Tonight, I'll start off if you don't mind. And
Please do.
Very, very short, because I know you're short on time. Vote yes. Thank you. He'll tell you why.
First of all, I want to thank you for a second chance to come up, because I think there are some things that aren't clear as to what is happening with this interlocal agreement. What we've built somewhat with all the cities is essentially the apparatus that will then build the master plan and figure out the facilities. What the interlocal agreement right now is putting everybody having a seat at the table to figure out what the master plan is. You have an exit ramp off if you don't want to be in. If after we've done the master plan, after we figure out what's the facilities, where they're going to go, all that, you can say, you know what, that's not for us. The county can do the same. We have reserved that right as well. What you don't want to be is not at the table. You all have proximity to that landfill. Your residents deserve someone at that table, because there are lots of scenarios where that's involved. Whether or not there's people that want to turn that back into a landfill. You know, I don't want to see that, but there are people that want that. And I think you want to be able to say, no, we don't want that. You want to be able to say, I've heard about, concern with wells. You want to make sure those are protected. There's all those things. I want to protect that landfill in case we ever have a Hurricane Ian, that's a place where we can take all the debris. So there's all those kind of things that are part of this. You want to be at that table. And I know you've got lots of concerns. The table's a place for those concerns. And that's where all the things that are going to be coming up over the next year and a half, it's probably going to be a year or two, discussion as to what all this is going to look like. In that time frame, your voice is needed. And you want to be part of this agreement, along with every other city. Because those decisions are going to be made. They're going to be big decisions. They're going to be what the facilities are and where they're going to go. So and the cost is minimal. It's a small. To be honest, you can't afford not to be part of this. That's what you really should be thinking of. And I know, and it sounds like a hard sell, but I'm really concerned as a former city commissioner. I'm thinking of where you all are right now, and having been in that seat, and you want your citizens to be represented. So we're happy to take any questions.
Could you guys speak into the microphone?
Sure.
Twitter is blowing up. Use the microphone.
Oh, okay.
First of all, I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity. I am actually on the Solid Waste Working Group, the small cities representative. So I know Jim was, I think, at the first meeting that we had. I think he's your representative. So again, just want to share three simple things with you. Number one, this agreement allows the cities, allows the counties to be environmentally concerned. We all know that solid waste in 10 years, that landfill is going to be filled up. We need to do something. I don't know what the answers are, but we need to do something. Number two, from a flow control standpoint, this is an economic flow control standpoint. It will not only save everybody in the county money, but it will save your residents money as well. And number three, and this is where I think, again, as Commissioner Furr said, there's an exit ramp off. But today, approving this provides good governance. It's the way that our city approved it and other small cities approved it, and I encourage small cities to take an opportunity to have a seat at the table, to discuss the issues that all cities are concerned about. But if you don't, you're not going to have a voice. So hopefully you'll approve it tonight. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Questions, or you can
Yep.
take it.
Yeah,
If you have any questions, we're here.
perfect. Thank you all. Appreciate it. All right. So obviously, I know you all have heard from a lot of residents. I certainly have heard from a lot of residents. This is something that our town and our residents are extremely concerned about for a number of reasons. Number one, the proximity to our town is right there to where it could be a sound issue. We've talked about sound already this evening in the prior meeting. This could be a real concern from that standpoint. More importantly is from how are the results of this going to be processed or removed, or is it going to be removed? I have not heard that it is going to be removed. And what makes our town unique to probably any other town in Broward County, not probably to any other town in Broward County, is that the majority of our residents get their water directly from wells on their property. And if the byproduct of this particular unit is not handled properly, it's not going to save this town any money. It's going to put this town into serious financial difficulties. You think about the cost of putting every home in this town on a water system, it would be astronomical. And so that's what we're weighing. And frankly, as much as I appreciate that we will have a seat at the table, we've sat at the county table, and we know how that table is set up. And I'm sorry to say it this way, but we know how it's set up. We know where the big chairs are, and we know where the chairs are at the small table in the back. And so the majority of times we're at the small table in the back. And I'm not sure that we're going to be heard at that meeting, to be honest with you. I have no confidence to think that we will be heard at that meeting. And I'm sorry to say that, but I'm not basing that on anything that you gentlemen have said tonight. I'm basing that on 25 years of experience working with the county in either a small town situation or a pre-small town situation. So it's very concerning. The point that you're making does resonate to me. I'll be honest with you that having a weak, small voice is still better than having no voice at all. And I can hope that we would have a stronger voice. But this is no small thing for this town. This is a huge thing for this town. And more than it would be if this was placed any other place in the county. Any other town could deal with it better because no other town in this county has the risks that Southwest Ranches has. And yet this is being considered to be placed in our backyard. Frankly, it's unacceptable. It can't go there. And if it does go there, I guarantee you we will fight it all the way and with every tool in the toolbox. I'll just leave it that way. It's unacceptable what it would do to our residents in the town and their lifestyle here. So I want to be clear about that. I can definitely understand a seat at the table from my perspective, but you all need to understand that it's unacceptable to have it placed there. All right, let me open it up. You know what, Councilman Kozinski, I know is on a limited schedule. David, would you like to make any comments on this item?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for moving this up on the agenda. It's been a big concern. I've spoken to so many people about this since it appeared on the agenda and actually since it was introduced. And you know, the whole acronym NIMBY, not in my backyard. Learned that when I was at college and studying environmental issues, and it's a big concern now. And Mr. Mayor, this is something that you touched on a little bit, and I want to emphasize it. You said you want to fight this to the end, just like I feel the same way. But the drafters of this agreement did not allow for somebody like, we'll say the town is a party, because they say that if you agree to this, you become a party. Well, if you go to page 28 of 35 of this agreement, paragraph 17.6, to give everybody a moment to look at this, because this is the issue that if they hadn't put this in there, it may have changed my mind a little bit. But there is language here that's in bold. Each party, that would be the town, knowingly, voluntarily, and unequivocally waives any rights it may have to a trial by jury for any claim, whether in contract, tort, or statute, arising out of or relating to this agreement. That ties our hands if we sign on this. They put that in there to tie our hands. And I really don't feel comfortable with that. If that hadn't been in there, maybe I could be in there. But this limits our rights if we sign on to this agreement. Now, what if we do not like this master plan that's contrived? We're like, as you said, we're at back table. We're a small municipality. We love our small municipality. And to be honest, I'm ecstatically happy with our current servicer, WM. And I've had no phone calls, nothing, since we signed on with them. And I want to know, with any liquid waste, if we have another 100-year rainstorm like we had a couple of years ago, and the ash is on site, will they guarantee us 100% that there will be no runoff into any of the canals? Because those canals flow from Pembroke Pines into Southwest Ranches to the C11. So those canals are where people fish, animals drink. I've seen horses in the canals. I don't want those to become sewage dumps. And I want to know if will there be any deep well injection considered? And also, will Southwest Ranches have any benefit if we do sign on this besides just having part of the agreement to help? Is there a financial incentive? So those are my questions, Mr. Mayor. And I appreciate you for doing all of this for me. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, David. Appreciate your comments. Keith, can I ask you just to comment on a couple of things that David said?
Sure. The main, and I apologize for being a little hoarse tonight. The Panther game was a bit much. As it relates to the legal question on the waiver of trial by jury, there's just a non-jury trial. It doesn't mean that there can't be litigation determined by a judge. It's just strictly a clause to waive a jury trial. I don't disagree with that clause. Juries are very unpredictable, as we know. So I personally don't have an issue with it. It's written a little strangely, so I could understand that it may have been viewed as it's a straight waiver of court proceeding. It's not. It's only a waiver of a jury trial, not just any trial. The one other thing I want to make clear, the town rightfully is mixing the incinerator, which it has tremendous concerns with this group ILA. And, it may be something that Mayor Furr wants to address further, because they're separate issues, but I understand how they're being tied together. And I have personally reached out to Commissioner Furr, I keep doing that, apologies, Mayor Furr, and voiced our concerns after our last meeting. And I think, he probably will be happy to address it and address how the town will be meeting independently as the only affected party, really, for the incinerator, because we surround it, and how that discussion may be different than that of the ILA itself. So I would urge you to please call up the mayor to address that part of it.
Yeah, I will do that. Before we get there, any other comments from council?
Just one. We're going to get another big one. We're going to get our version of Katrina and whatever sometime in the future. We're pretty well hardened against it, but we do have a lot of debris. And I remember the last big one, we had a tremendous amount of debris. It was actually put on Bergeron's property.
Right.
And it was one of the biggest barbecues I've ever seen, and I'm putting it mildly. And our half of our town was coated in ash for weeks because of that, and we protested, and we finally got the fires put out, but most of it was already burned. And those kind of things leave a really sour taste in your mouth, for lack of a better way of saying it, when you have to go out and scrape your windshield and it's not snowing. So I just like to mention that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary.
Just one quick comment.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm not sure if it's a fait accompli that it's going to be over on the county property on 27 there at this point. I know that there's a strong chance. But there's also another economic decision about putting it over there. When we negotiated our contract with WM, where we're tipping, of course, has a lot to do with our costs. Because if we have to send our trucks up to Pompano, it's going to cost a lot more. We'll have to have more trucks to cover the same area, on a given pickup day. If we put it here, right here in Southwest Ranches, that means the entire county is driving to the southwest corner of the county to do their tipping, which means more trucks, more waiting in lines, all sorts of things that say to me, this thing ought to be centrally located in Broward County, kind of like where the Wheeler Brader plant on 441 is, somewhere in the vicinity where everybody in the county isn't going to be paying a surcharge because the decision was made over here. It's in the middle of the county where, the ones who are close to it will be lucky, the ones that are a little further away, but it won't be. From Lighthouse Point to this place here is a 40-minute drive. That's every garbage truck that picks up in Lighthouse Point, Pompano, etc. So I just want to point that out. We'll be talking more about this.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank
Yeah, Jim?
Steve, I am in total agreement with every one of the other councilmen, all right? However, I honest and truly, myself, believe that we do need a seat at this table. I would much rather know what's inside that lion's den than to be surprised later on and not have a voice at all. I know that the incinerator is not good for this town and everything, the traffic, but to be able to sit there, even if I'm sitting in the back, at least someone could come back and explain what's going on. If we don't know what's going on, we can get blindsided. That's just
Gotcha.
my personal feelings.
Yep. Totally understand.
Yeah, Mayor, there's an old quote from LBJ. I won't go into great detail with it, but it has to do with a tent. and it's right. I think we'd rather be inside the tent than outside the tent.
Right, right. So let's talk about that a little bit. Actually, let me follow up on Keith's recommendation. If you want to, please come on up and just.
Happy to do it. Which question?
I think so. It was what really our involvement in the process.
Okay. And let me. I think you were talking about the thumb of the county, kind of having a undue weight.
Right.
The exact. Just so you know, the composition of the governing board. There's a governing board where everybody is a member, every city, and then there's an executive board. There's 10 cities on that board and 1 county. I'm saying that because I think this is a little different. One of the reasons we didn't go to a dependent district is because I think the cities in general felt like they needed to have a little more balance. And I think that this provides that.
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
If this goes to the other side of the county, hallelujah, we're happy as can be.
Okay.
If it comes over to here, how can you? What can we do? How can we work it so that we don't get a seat at the little table in the back? That we are actively in the middle of it. We understand what's going on. We get a fair shot at presenting why this is not the optimal solution. How can we be promoted to, on this one issue, be promoted only if it goes over here, or if that's the primary location? how can we be among the
Very good question.
The
And let
decision
me give you an
makers.
example of what the cities did previously when we were putting this together. With this first revolved around the discussion of the Alpha 250, which is a piece of property in Pompano that all the cities that were part of the RRB owned together. Knowing that that was going to probably be a place where a MRF was going to be located, the cities together said Pompano should be in the middle of this discussion. Pompano is on the solid waste working group because of that. And I think you would have a similar argument because you are one of the most directly affected of all the
Absolutely.
cities.
What
And I think we all recognize
I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate that you think we would be in a similar situation. How do we firm that up so that if it goes over there, we are in that situation?
Well, I can't make a promise because it comes down to a vote of the cities and the county together.
We don't win those votes. We're left out of those votes.
Well, I think in this last one, Pompano's
a big city.
yeah, but they actually weren't voted first, and then the cities together said we should rethink this because Pompano is going to be affected. And the cities looked at that and they said, yeah, let's put Pompano on there. So you've got your fellow colleagues, your fellow commissioners throughout the county that are recognize how this affects each other. The other part is, my hope is that, there's going to be probably recycling centers all over. There's not just going to be one place where garbage goes. There's going to need to be MRFs. You've got a big, Waste Management is putting together a fantastic MRF coming up, which a lot of people are going to be bringing their stuff to. There's probably going to be need for a couple of those. We don't know what is going to go over at that landfill yet. We don't know. And that's part of putting together the master
Right.
plan. And we don't know how it's going to be treated. That's what the discussion is going to be. And like I said, you want to be in on that discussion. Like I said, I can't promise that you would be on that executive board. However, everybody that's on the governing board can go to those executive board meetings and be heard that way. So there's numerous ways of being heard.
Mayor, I certainly appreciate and understand exactly where you're coming from. When we first formulated the solid waste working group, the small cities all sat down at a table, and we discussed who wanted to be part of the working group, who needed support, whatever it may be. And there was some, obviously, technical advisory support, who was going to be involved, and I guess by attrition, I happened to be saying, yeah, I can make those meetings, I can make that commitment, I can do that. I would imagine, and again, I can't make promises, but I would imagine, especially knowing the small cities, is that they would extend that opportunity to have your voice at that table. And I truly believe that, as I said, as a president of Broward League of Cities, as a member of Solid Waste Working Group, can't make promises, but knowing the way that we deal with, we want to defer to those cities that have issues because you're embedded in it versus some other city that might not be, maybe, well, it's not going to happen in our city, so we're okay with whatever happens. So we want that voice collectively amongst all the 31 cities. So as I said, as Commissioner first said, can't make those promises, but I would imagine that, as I said, if you don't, and I don't want to force the issue, but if you don't sign the agreement,
I get it.
you're not going to be at least part of that. So,
Thank you.
Excuse me. Picture this. There are no tables in the back. There's one big round table. Everybody gets to be heard. I don't care if you're small, large, or middle. You all have the equal representation. That's a beautiful thing about this. So you got to keep that in mind. We are in it together. It's one Broward.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Does somebody else have something?
Go ahead, Bob.
There's some other things, impacts or burdens it's going to bring to Southwest Ranches.
Right.
We have been working with, I'm on the MPO, I'm our representative to that.
Right.
I think we're on the 2050 plan for widening Griffin Road. And if we start putting literally hundreds of garbage trucks on there every day, they're not going to go south. They're going to come right down Griffin Road. It's a county road, but we maintain it. We're going to have garbage flying all over. We pick it up now because we already have garbage trucks. But if you quadruple or 10 times the number of garbage trucks, that's a major impact to that road out there. And we need some relief from the county, who keeps telling us it doesn't have enough. It has plenty of capacity. I live on it.
And I'm on the MPO as well with you.
Yeah, yeah.
And those are the kind of things where those things need to be recognized, and your ranking needs to go higher to make those kind of things happen. And I think I would certainly understand that, and I think most people would.
Good.
Yeah.
I'll count on your support then when we vote on it.
Yeah.
Keith?
So, Mayor, in one of the emails that I sent to you and your staff that you all responded to, recognize the fact that the last time that landfill was fully open, it's open, but like fully utilized, it created a plume in Southwest Ranches, and the county had to connect a huge portion of Sunshine Ranches to Sunrise Water because of the fact that of contamination that is still going through the groundwater of Sunshine Ranches today. Those are clearly fears of the residents as it expands and as it may or may not be utilized even more in the future. Where I think, just throwing it out here from a legal side, it's not really a seat at the table with the fellow mayors. Where the council, from speaking to me, is looking for a commitment is a table directly with Broward County, to sit with them before Broward County makes a decision of what it's recommending to everyone else at the larger group, to understand the potential impacts to the town and maybe be able to meet with the town and say, listen, we understand that there is currently the plume there. We've looked into it. If we need to connect more people to water, this is our plan for it, so that when that plan goes to that larger group, the issues that they're fearful of, is already in the hands of the county and being looked at prior to its presentation to the larger group as a whole. Okay. So I think from my standpoint, from speaking to everyone individually, what could potentially resolve the concerns tonight is a commitment, not from the entire group, not amending the ILA, but a commitment of Broward County that it will continue to meet directly with the town, give them a voice at your table, when discussing that site specifically, and to, at least have an open dialogue in that conversation before anything is brought to the overall.
I'm happy to make that commitment right now. Happy to do that, because that needs to happen. You all have a lot at stake.
Right.
And so does the county.
Right.
So, and we have to make sure we do the right thing. So I'm happy to make that commitment right now.
Great. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. All right. So I'm going to open up to the public if they have any comments. Yeah.
Noah Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. I've lived out here over 45 years. I have no trust with the county government whatsoever and their garbage and dumps and that sort of stuff. I was here when the Davy dump was built, and they said that it was environmental and it would never pollute anybody. Keith mentioned about some major part of Sunshine Ranches being put on because of the plume. Well, that was after several of our residents got leukemia. Our horses were dying. The cattle was not saleable that was here because they were poisoned and they had to be put down. That's the only thing that could be done. And the county fought that, hook, line, and sinker, until they lost. And they had to do it. They're going to put an incinerator. I spoke to them the last time they were here outside. The incinerator is going there. That is what I was told. They don't know exactly where on the property it's going, but it's going there. And the ash is going to remain there. When we had Wheelabrator, several of my neighbors on 199th moved over just south of the C11 because they wanted a boat that could go out to the ocean and bought property there. Wheelabrators state-of-the-art incinerator dumped ash on them every day for the 20 years they lived there. That is the same thing they're going to do here. And what's that going to do to our pasture? Where that polluted ash falls on our property because the wind comes from the southwest most of the summer. What is going to happen to our property then, where our animals are poisoned and possibly even giving leukemia to our residents again? That's not to talk about the ash dump, which has all the heavy metals, all the arsenic, all of the drugs that aren't burned up, that when it rains, the effluent overflows into our canals and poisons, possibly because of the way the water flows underground, the well systems for Hollywood, Miramar, Hallandale, and the rest of the cities that get the water from Hollywood, or Pembroke Pines, or Cooper City. There's a well field right here we have in Cooper, that's Sunshine Ranches. Sunrise Water, right off of Sterling well field. What's going to happen with that when those are polluted? What's the county going to go, oh, well, gee, we did it according to the best known at the time. Well, the dump over in Davie was done by the best at the time. When they went to put the dump out here, the reason, can I continue?
Just another minute.
The reason we have country estates and we have the President's Council is because of that dump and what the people put together to fight it. We did such a good job that the county threw away its $2 million study on what was to be done with that dump and implemented what we said that dump had to have on it as far as things to protect us and the water. If they don't do what is right, and if they don't do what is supposed to be, we're going to have ash polluting our neighborhoods. We're going to have the plume ruining our water, and Southwest Ranches will be no more. That is what we can expect from county government and the rest of the cities, because they don't give a damn about us.
All right.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm standing by what...
Just introduce yourself. And
Sure. Richard Ramcharatar, 166th Avenue.
Thank you.
I am coming up here because what Noor is saying is absolutely true. We used to live in Dania Beach, just south of the Wheelabrator. And I moved there because we wanted to live on the water. We wanted to have ocean access. And we eventually had to move from that area because of the Wheelabrator and the airport. But the Wheelabrator, when they clean the stacks, it sounds like a jet engine running for over 4 or 5 hours. And it's unbearable. Doesn't matter what you have, impact windows, insulation, wall to wall on your ceilings, it does not matter. It was horrendous, and I think it's a risk to health because we develop respiratory conditions. I had to go to Cleveland Clinic for a long time to deal with it, and the doctors there confirmed that the pollution that was coming out of that Wheelabrator was affecting our health. The ash that was falling on boats, on our trees, it was horrendous. And I would respectfully ask the county not to bring an incinerator next door to Southwest Ranches because it's going to devastate us. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Good evening. My name is Monica Elliott. I live on Southwest 68th Court in Rolling Oaks. I would urge you to sign this agreement because you have to have a voice at the table. If you don't sign it, you're not going to have a voice. But I think that people are mixing things up. This is not an agreement that you're signing that says, yes, there's going to be a waste energy plant over there. This is an agreement that you're going to figure out what you're going to do with it. if we somehow manage our waste, there wouldn't be a need for a waste to energy plant. The other thing I would urge you is, have you visited the plant that is in Palm Beach County? If you have not, I would urge the entire council to go on a field trip and visit that site, because you can see what can be done, and that's not even the state of the art, because it's even improved since then. But again, I would just urge you to sign the ILA so that you have a voice at the table, so we can determine. We have to figure out what we're going to do with the garbage in this county. We may not be the biggest contributors, but we're still part of the county. And I don't think we should have a NIMBY, attitude about this. We have to be part of the solution. It may be unfortunate that this corner that is associated with Southwest Ranches may be the most likely place to do it. But it is because there's been, poor planning from day one for the entire county that's put us into this position. And so now we have to figure out how we're going to fix it. It may include this property, the Alpha 250, the wheelbrader, all those types of things. But we have to be at the table to figure out how we're going to solve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment on this item?
Debbie Green, 199th Avenue.
Can you pull down the
So-
mic just a little bit? Thank you.
So I do agree that you're better to have a seat at the table and have some say. So as long as Keith is assuring you that your seat at the table is not a commitment.
I don't think it's Keith that's assuring us.
Keith.
But Keith, I guess you're in charge.
Thank you.
Or somebody that is able to assure you that just because you are part of this ILA, that is not saying we are okay or giving your blessing
Right.
for this incinerator to be right at bordering the town of Southwest Ranches.
The end of your
'Cause-
street, the end of my street.
Exactly. So, and just, all the things the other two speakers said, and yes, it's a county problem, but this happens to be one of those places, this small place in the county that has all the open land and pastures and the animals. So even if you did put all the houses on city water, what about all the animals?
Right.
And then I guess some of my other comments are more to why this shouldn't be here and not necessarily that, but it's just more of, I guess there's a plan, but how do they ensure that the emission standards are being met at the the highest standards, not the county, not whoever's whoever standards are at the highest, that those are being met, and what kind of recurring testing is planned? Not that we do it at the beginning and we do it 5 years later, like what kind of recurring testing is done? And then what is the plan that's been mentioned here? Their plan to dispose of the fly ash and bottom ash. Because if that's not disposed of properly, when that comes down, it comes down as toxic material and that goes into our ground.
Right.
And I guess I was just looking, I saw that recently there was a fire at the Miami-Dade WTE.
Right.
Which caused lots of medical concerns and ongoing and monitoring and all of that. And then to Bob's point, if it is out there, the traffic that it's going to bring, all these trucks from Broward County down Griffin Road, which is, it's 2 lanes each way, which isn't a lot, until you get to Bonaventure. And then the rest of the way to 27, it is a 2-lane road, 1 lane each way.
Right.
The hardship and all the safety hazards that it brings to us, this is not the place for it. But thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Walt Butler, Southwest 63rd Street. Council, this is deja vu for most of us. I purchased land out here 40 years ago. Just after we purchased it, along came the notion that we're going to put a dump out there on the end of Sheridan Street. We were made all sorts of promises. Whether or not it leaks, who knows? They said they were going to put trees out there so that we wouldn't have to look at the trees. And there was comments made, what are you going to put out there, sequoias? Well, the trees aren't there and they're not blocking that dump. So there's one promise that didn't get fulfilled. Imagination Farms used to be over here on the corner of I-75 in Griffin. They moved those cows to Georgia. I had a father-in-law that worked at that facility in maintenance. They were poisoning those cows then from that dump that they closed up. Most of the people didn't hear that. They kept it from people. So they moved the cows out and they put houses there, and all these unsuspected people bought houses because they wanted acreage. Wasn't that much longer that Sunshine Ranches got put on Sunrise Water. I knew 10 years before that happened that that water was bad. That dump that's at the end of Sheridan Street, if it leaks, that water comes from the northwest to the southeast, right underneath our property. We don't need that. So it's always the little guy that gets crapped on because we have no voice. We had no voice 40 years ago when all of our communities funded money and tried to fight the big guy unsuccessfully. So yes, we need a seat at this table, but we definitely need to be vocal about it. Thank you.
Thank you all.
You have my support.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, I've got a, who made the motion? First,
Open discussion? I did.
okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you'd consider amending that motion. I wrote this down to make sure I have it straight. To make it approval subject to the commitment of Broward County to meet with the town to discuss the US 27 incinerator site prior to making any final decisions or presenting the site as a possibility to the larger board.
I'm good with that.
You're second or the
I'm the second.
Okay.
You okay with that, Jim?
You want to read it again?
Quick. Yeah. Go
Okay.
ahead.
If you would consider modifying your motion to approve the commitment of Broward County to meet with the town to discuss the US 27 incinerator site prior to making any final decisions or presenting the site as a possibility to the larger board.
So what you're saying is if we approve this evening, that would be one of the conditions of this approval?
Yes.
Right.
All right. I do. I will amend it.
And you approve it?
I'm good.
Okay. So we amended the motion. Any further comment on this item? Yeah, I obviously, yeah, David.
Where?
I just lost it.
All right, well, we lost David, unfortunately. I do believe, while we try and get him back on the phone, I do believe that it's critical that we are at the table and that.
Can I finish? Hello?
Go ahead, David. It's ridiculous.
A long string between two tin cans.
Go ahead,
It is.
David.
Yes.
Go ahead, David.
Hello?
Yep.
Hello?
Go ahead, David.
Go ahead, David.
Okay, yeah. I'd just like to know where our county commissioners are tonight, because I think that would be kind of important issue for them as well. But I do see while I have this strong disagreement with what's going on, I wish that this ILA would have, instead of the bigger cities having multiple votes, I wish it was having one vote per municipality. Because I think it's weighted towards larger municipalities. But I do agree with the way that Gary has suggested an amendment to this, and we do get a seat at the table. I wish it was a more equitable seat at the table, but I do kind of agree with this.
Great. Thank you, David. We are going to push for that seat at the table, and we do have the commitment to get together with Broward County before any final decision is made on a location. So I think we are good there. Certainly, it makes sense for us to participate. We've got more at stake than anyone else. So,
Yeah, I just want to confirm with the mayor here. Is the mayor okay with the way that? Okay. So
Good.
the county, for the record,
is
is
in agreement with
acknowledging the amendment.
Good. All right. Any other comments before we vote? Seeing none, if you can please call the roll.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Albritton?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you coming out, and we look forward to having a seat at the table. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Public comment?
Mayor, we have two final public comment speakers.
Perfect.
We have Newell Hollingsworth and John Grotti as the final speaker.
Great. Gentlemen, I apologize for the interruption, but this was important.
Like a bad penny and back up here.
There we go.
Waste management. Is Barbara still here?
Yes, she is.
Good. Two things. I wondered why yesterday, when they picked up bulk, they took the rake off the truck and raked up each pile. Now I know why, because Barbara was going to be here tonight. But 2 times before that, I've called town hall and complained about the lousy pickup of bulk in my area, where he left it strewn all over the street, left half of it on the ground, third of it out in the middle of the street, and only took a third with them when they left. We're starting to compare them to Waste Pro. Waste Pro Senior, as I was calling them. And I guess next time I'll call them Waste Pro Senior. The other thing is hazardous waste. Had a situation, which Barbara knows about, on hazardous waste. It's called refrigerators. They won't pick up any appliance because they don't qualify to take them to the hazardous waste pickup. We pay extra for hazardous waste pickup. There, take it there. Because the Freon's in it. Yet they'll pick up all the other stuff, the TV sets, electronics, all that, because it's profitable. But not refrigerators, because it has the Freon in it. You have to pay an appliance repairman to come in and drain the Freon out, and then they will pick it up if you take it to hazardous waste. And I think our town ought to take a look, because we're paying extra for hazardous waste, and they ought to pick up the appliances at the hazardous waste site, including refrigerators, and remove the Freon, because that's a hazardous waste. Yet it's right there in the contract you guys signed. But I think that's an abomination that they don't do that, because it is a hazardous waste. And those items, if you don't want to pay to have it picked up when you get a new one, the $50, and have someone come out and drain it so you can take it and have it picked up, which is something I just can't comprehend. They're going to end up on the sides of the road. Now mine is going to sit back by the barn till hell freezes over. And because it doesn't have any Freon in it right now. After 35 years, the Freon went and it stopped Motor still runs and stuff, it just doesn't have any Freon in it. So it's going to stay out by the barn until hell freezes over. And the plastic deteriorates from the sun.
All right.
So anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Noel. John?
Ladies and gentlemen, John Garotti, 162nd Ave. I just wanted to touch one last time the noise ordinance. Most of it, yes, Airbnbs are a huge problem. We didn't, a resident mentioned earlier, hey, 20 years ago we didn't have that. We didn't have Airbnbs back then. It's like having a motel in a residential area wasn't ever a consideration, but we're in a different world.
Right.
But there's other stuff that creates noise. Airbnbs being probably at the top. Folks that have no idea about the noise ordinance probably being number 2, demographics or not. But there's a lot of folks that have issues. I run a business from my home. Many of you folks know what I do. I make sure that I don't make noise. We don't have a business licensing anything yet. We've discussed it. I mean, I've brought it up. I mean, I think some sort of direction. There's residents here now that have issues with machinery, that businesses get operated from their home as they have a right to with the home-based business bill. But again, we don't have any guidance for that. So there are folks that are affected in different ways. Or noise ordinance could be a party. Noise ordinance could be, many different things. And if we, maybe let's use some technology, decibel readings. How long is this noise sustained? Like the gentleman said, he was in the industry of sound. Bass, what is acceptable, what is not? In this ordinance now, we don't have anything. It's just too vague. So to enforce with police, they don't have noise decibels. They don't do that. They have radar guns for speed. We should be equipped with that. Our code enforcement should have that. That way, nobody can say, hey, I didn't know about this. Well, look what you got. So noise could be from a home-based business. I think a business, something for the town of Southwest Ranches is due, because there are many laws on the books that didn't exist back in the days, and businesses that would never have been a consideration in a residential area. But I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, John. All right. Board reports. Do we have any board reports this evening? Seeing none. Thank you, Barbara. All right. Council member comments.
I'll go.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, thank you for coming. We had a nice turnout tonight and got a lot of useful information, and welcome to Town Hall. Just a few things to go over. First, of note, May 29th, which is this Monday, Town Hall is going to be closed for Memorial Day. Starting in June the 6th, 9 a.m., we have a code hearing. The council meetings will be June 8th and the 22nd. Broward County Property Appraiser will be here on the 6th from 10 to 12 if you need help with anything that's in their purview. The DMV Flowmobile will be here on the 28th from 10 to 2. You need to make a reservation with the clerk's office for that, and it's a very convenient and useful. You don't have to go downtown for something, license plates, etc. Okay. And that's kind of all I have that's coming up. There's something I want to talk about that's come up that we've been kind of kicking the can down the road to the council, and I need to get into it. Basically, it deals with the Country Estates tot lot, and it's basically unusable at this point. The summer heat is we have no canopy, no cover for it, and the summer heat that comes down upon it makes it unusable past 10 a.m. in the morning. And this is directly from moms that try to use it, and grandmothers that try to use it. And then we also have a particular problem at the Country Estates Park with the mulch. And it turns out good intentions were put that we accepted some donation mulch. Well, it turned out to be the wrong kind of mulch to use for that. It has sharp objects in it, rocks, things of that nature. So we're looking at some liability issues, problems with it. December was planning on putting a Band-Aid on it by trying to remove some of it. Quite a bit of it was dumped on it, as I understand, and replacing it with the playground mulch, which is that rubberized, specialized mulch. What I'm bringing before you guys today is I would like, we wanted to go through the budget process with this, and the budget process would not make this workable until October, November, December. By then, summer's over. And we're coming into the summer now, and it's already too hot. What I'm proposing to do, what I'm proposing with the council's backing, is to use I'm going to call it the recovery fund. You guys call it something else. To replace all the mulch in the entire tot lot. It's like 8,000 square feet of it, or something like that, to the correct mulch. We've been kicking this can down the road for about 3-4 years now, and we're to the point now where it's detrimental to people using it. And that I got the number from December to replace that, and that's $42,000. 42. It's quite a lot for removal and to put in the right ones that won't be
And
injuring
which parks,
children.
do you know which parks these are at?
This is just one park, Country Estates.
Just Country Estates?
Just
Oh,
Country
okay.
Estates. I'm focusing on Country Estates only right now. Okay. And then the shade covering to make the tot lot usable during the day. It comes in at a number of just under $35,000, with to make it all hurricane proof and the whatnot. So the total would be $76,478. We do have the funds in the recovery fund available for it. We have over $400,000 in that fund, and I would like to make a motion. I'm planning on making a motion to use that so that we can speed this process up. It's non-taxpayer money, and I think it's desperately needed. This would be a case where it would be needed. We've gone through the procurement process on the mulch and on the canopy top. We've got the lowest prices. We got the best this, the best that, and I'd like the council's support. It's in our backyard. It's in your backyard. It's in your back. It's in everybody's backyard, and it's unusable. At this. So I'd like to make the motion that we utilize the funds from that fund to give December the go-ahead to put the canopy over the tot lot as that's needed, so it's usable, and to replace all the mulch in there because in that one park only. The other parks we can look at later on down the road, but we've been kicking this can down the road. So that's the motion I'd like to make, and I'd appreciate a second.
Before we get a second, I'd like a not to exceed on there. So if you take those two totals and maybe put a little bit of a buffer on it, can you put a not to exceed on it?
I would say not to exceed $80,000.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job bringing that forward, Carrie. Let's just take a little break. Any comments, questions, concerns about that?
Gary, real quick, I attended the Parks meeting where that was discussed, and I attended some of the meetings where that was brought up. Could you explain what the mulch is that you're putting in? When you said specialized mulch, could you explain why it would be $42,000?
It's called playground mulch. It's not like mulch you buy at Home Depot. It's rubberized. Yeah, and all right, come on up, December. Come on up. I'm sorry, I didn't see you in the audience. I'm sorry. I apologize. You were hiding behind.
Yeah, I was
somebody.
hiding. It's not rubberized. There's no rubber material. It's engineered wood fiber. And the best way that I have to describe it is mulch, but it's kind of like tumbled stones are smooth around all the edges. This is what they do. They engineer this wood fiber to make it very smooth around the edges, and it knits very well together. It compacts down. You have a surface that is softer, it attenuates, it attenuates when things fall on it.
Like little kids.
What's the life? What's the life of that? Do you know?
We have to replace this mulch every year. We don't have to spend $42,000 every year, but the last time that we did any mulch replacement for our playgrounds was in 2017, and we spent about I can't remember if it was 22 or 27,000, and we did some mulch replacement in the highest climbing zones at each of our 3 locations, but it really ought to be done every year. And there is a budget request for it coming to you, but it is, what Gary has said is correct. We've been sort of, avoiding the cost because we had other, a lot of priorities to deal with, but we really ought to be replenishing a significant portion each year.
What's the status of the mulch in Sunshine Ranches?
It's way too low. It's way too low. And the multiplier that I've been given by the various companies that I've been working with is $5 per square foot. At the Equestrian Park, you've got 10,000 square feet. At the Country Estates Park, you've got just over 9,000 square feet. At the Calusa Corners Park, you've got over 2,000 square feet. So when you put all those together, in order to do them all and take out everything and put new stuff in, it's over 100,000. But that's not what we're asking for. What Gary's asking for at the Country Estates Park, we do have companies in town that want to do good for us and did donate some material, and the first time that they did, it was better than it is this time, but we do have to do some remediation there. At the Equestrian Park, we just have to blow in a lot. So these playground equipment pieces have a level line on them, and those are all visible, and, it's a scary thing to think that we don't have the proper safety surfacing down.
Absolutely. Yeah.
December, why not go with the rubberized that last several years?
Turn on your mic and speak.
Sorry. Why not use the rubberized that I know lasts, like, we've had friends that have it 5-6 years in their backyard already, and it looks like they just installed it.
I'm really glad that you asked that. And there are, we talked about this in 2017 when I asked for the money to do some work, because some of the council members were thinking, like, isn't that going to last better and won't it be a better product? But to take out all of what we have out and to put in a different product, that's really not cost effective. We committed to the engineered wood fiber because it is the least expensive down the road to and the most natural surface. And I meet with the Broward County Parks directors from 31 cities every month, and we talk about all different kinds of things. And the things that I hear repeatedly is, okay, do we like the rubber tiles or do we like the poured-in-place rubber? Nobody's using rubber mulch anymore. And there have been some issues with some of those particles causing health concerns. So a lot of the products that have been used on playgrounds these days, although they're really good, they're hard to maintain, and when they need to be maintained, they're costly. This is just blowing some new stuff in, and it is a cost that we should be doing every year. And
What would you anticipate the annual to be on this? I mean, if we're going to have to do this every year, we should be budgeting for that.
Yes, and that budget request is in your books already for 2024, and it's a big ask, but, in previous years, it's 42 and change is what I'm asking for, and it's a certain percentage for each playground of what the total would be,
Right.
assuming that we're starting from a really good starting place. So now, if we look at our budget, if this item that we've talked about tonight that you've, considered, that's going to take Country Estates Park way down, that cost would be way down low because we would be starting from a really great place. Then we would focus our efforts on the Equestrian Park. And, maybe if you approve the item that we've asked for the Equestrian Park, we can bring it to a higher percentage of acceptability. I didn't ask for all the money that it would take to fix all of the safety surfacing to the highest level. I asked for what I thought we could do that would make it safe and then feather it out towards the edges where there aren't fall zones, et cetera.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I did want to say, though, that we talked about, in 2017, when we talked about other types of surfacing, I did do some cost research on that, and it would be, a significant cost, and I do still have those old numbers. So if you're interested in that, I can revisit that, make sure that you get that information in your boxes, because it's interesting to know about. Actually, I think I put those numbers on the spreadsheet for my budget meeting, so sorry I don't have them with me right now.
No worries. Thank you, December. Appreciate
December,
it.
one
Yeah.
quick question.
Hi, Jim.
You said that the lifespan was a year. Would the entire mulch have to be taken out?
No.
You'd only have to
You
take off.
replenish. You replenish.
So that would be a
You don't take-
significant savings. then?
Yeah, you don't
Or
take the old stuff out every year.
You just,
You top off.
so, okay.
Yeah.
Much different, right?
Yeah, and we haven't been doing that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Awesome. All right. Is there any public discussion on this item?
Debbie Green, 199, President of Country Estates, HOA. This has been one of the things that gets talked about at every meeting, and it's been brought, I'm also on the Parks Board. This is something that has been brought to the Parks Board for now well over a year, and it just keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed. That park is very well used, and now that our
It is.
bathrooms are fixed, yay!
It
There was a huge birthday party there this past week. I think it was a birthday party this past weekend. It was being so much enjoyed, and then you just want to make sure that everyone can be safe. And the whole, the slide area is just not usable during, and it's not, we're in South Florida. It's
Yeah.
not summer. It's for probably 11 months out of the year you can't use the slide.
Right.
And it's a wonderful park, and we've done so much good for the Equestrian Park, Rolling Oaks Park, and several other parks. And I just think I would urge you all to please vote yes on this, and it will be so much appreciated by the Country Estates residents and Rolling Oaks and anyone else who wants to enjoy that park.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Debbie. Any other public comment on this item? Seeing none, public
I have a couple.
discussion
I have a
closed.
comment.
Yeah.
To do, I kind of have this planned in my head where we would do this like a park a year kind of thing.
Yeah.
To do all the parks at one shot right now, the three tot lots would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $110,000. So I think just doing it in piecemeal, it's much easier for us to absorb it. And we did get 5 years, or 6 years out of the last mulch. I'm not advocating that we do this every year,
Right.
but I do know there is a need for it right now at that park.
Yeah. I do hope that we can top it off every year once we get in.
Yeah,
level
once we get
situation.
squared away.
I think that'll be very.
At a much
Lower cost.
lower number.
Yeah.
Right. But the key thing is we're using non-taxpayer money.
Right.
To get this done, and then the improvement will hopefully go into effect within 60 to 90 days, or however long it takes December to. She's ready to go. We just need to pull the trigger
Needs
on
to
it.
go.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Thank you, Gary. All right. We good? I think we're good. Please call the vote.
If you can indulge me just 1 second for
Yes.
five seconds. My lovely wife,
I saw that.
Sam McFarland.
Congratulations.
We got married. Yeah, we got married in Georgia, but we had a small little party at a Kai, and we wanted everybody here, but you guys had a council meeting tonight, so.
Oh.
They brought the party to us. Thank you.
We've never actually taken alcohol at one of our meetings before, so I think this is setting new standard for our meetings.
Thank you.
Appreciate you breaking that ground for
Let's
us.
do a small taste. We just wanted to say hi.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
That was cool.
On that.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Steve, I got a quick question. Who opens the bottle?
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to top.
Yeah. Now, where were we? We can please call the roll.
Councilmember Hartman.
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski.
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski. Councilmember Kaczynski has left the meeting.
Yes, he has.
Vice Mayor Albritton?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to take this
And-
down. I'm not going to. Yeah.
And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Gary. Who's next? Jim?
Mayor, I'll go very quick. Residents, we need your input as to where to put these trailers. We have to guess every 2 weeks where to
Speed
put them.
trailers.
The
Speed
speed
trailers.
trailers, yes, the speed trailers, right. We don't get a comment from anybody as to where to put them. Tom's guessing, and if we move them where they're not doing any good, then, give me a call, give Tom a call here at Town Hall. Let us know if you need the speed trailer, and we'll put you on the list and get it there. Other than that, we're guessing. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jim. Bob?
Just a couple of quick comments. Yesterday I did my ride-along.
Ah, fantastic.
Have you had that
I
opportunity?
have, yes, I have.
I was very impressed by the officers that I work with. I went to their turnover meeting at 2 o'clock every day, their briefing.
Yep.
And it's not like on TV.
No. Yeah.
But, because so many of the officers come in here, we know them. And I had an opportunity to work with Christy Laguna.
Great.
She helped us by doing some traffic enforcement. I rode with Officer Bruno Gomez. Great guy. 3 years as a Davie PD. Before that, he was a finance guy. Yeah,
really?
yeah. But it was interesting because we all read the crime reports every week, and a lot of the stuff they do never makes it in there.
Yeah.
We went to look at a cow that was down. Somebody called. Somebody was driving through a neighborhood. They saw a cow laying on its side. They called the police. Police went out. We went out. We looked at the cow. It looked dead. But we found the owner. And I'll tell you how resourceful these guys are. They don't know who lived. This guy's never visited this property before. What is he doing? He wants to find the owner because he wants to call him to say the cow is down. He's right on the Broward Property Appraiser's office finding out who the owners are. Then he's out there on the other systems that he has access to, those guys, when they leave Davie PD, they're going out to deal and manage their day. And, he wasn't calling for advice for anything, even 3 years on the job.
Yeah.
He really knows what he's doing. So I was very impressed. They did a great job. We had some interesting calls. I really developed a new appreciation for those guys. So yeah, they do a wonderful job. And just so everybody knows, for the longest time, I didn't see a Davie PD, so I didn't think they were there. Now I know, because of my video surveillance, they pass my house at least twice a day. If there's a call on my street or something, that's a whole different situation. But I see the 3 police officers that I know cruising up and down every day. So they're out there. It's good we don't see them all over our town. I kind of see it that way. But they're out there. They're writing tickets. They are. We did a vacation watch stop and checked all the doors on the cars and the house and windows and everything to do with it. A very interesting ride. I'd love to do it with them again. It is.
It's a fantastic experience. Yeah.
And I also brought up the noise ordinance and asked him what happens if he pulls up on a place that the noise is very loud. He didn't mention anything about permits or anything like that, but what he said is that, he always counsels the residents and says, you got to turn it down. We have a noise ordinance. He tries to educate them. And he always comes back 15 minutes later. And if the noise is wherever they agreed, he's good with it. If they turn the noise back up, then he'll generally go after them. So he uses his discretion. He tries to work with the residents. If they don't want to cooperate, then he'll write them a ticket.
Great.
So nothing else important right now. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Bob. All right, and I have just a couple of quick things as well. I've been out of town the last 3 weeks on vacation. Had a wonderful time, but everything, Jim, thank you for running the meeting while I was gone. That is awesome. Very much appreciate that very much.
Mayor, I don't know if you saw the meeting, but I did not sit in your chair. I passed the gavel this way, all right? That is a chair that...
Well, I appreciate
Yes.
that, I guess. You would have been welcome to sit in the chair, but thank you. Awesome, but thank you, Jim, I appreciate that. And town-wise, obviously, we've got a great staff, and they did a wonderful job, and I was not interrupted once by staff. I did get a few resident calls, you're sitting on the beach in Spain and get a call from the residents, but that's good. That's all part of the job. Nothing wrong with that. So, but we had a great time. And the last thing I wanted to mention was we did the vacation watch from Davie PD while we were gone. If you're not using that service, please check it out. It's awesome. It's just the peace of mind knowing that your property is in good shape. You're not wondering, did you leave a door open, the garage door open or something? They're there looking at it. I'll tell you another example of just how the detail that they go through. So we flew out of Miami Airport. We were blessed to have all 3 daughters and their families with us while we were gone. But 2 of the daughters had their family cars parked in our driveway. Well, one of those daughters came back early, not early for them, but they couldn't stay the whole 3 weeks. So they came back. So here I am about a week and a half into the vacation. What do? I get a text from Officer Laguna saying, I need to alert you that one of the cars is missing out of your driveway. And I was like, you know what, sorry, my fault. I should have let you know that one of my daughters is coming back early, and she drove. But it gave me, you know what, I heard from, I shouldn't say this, but I will. I heard from Davie PD that my daughter made it home safe before my daughter texted me to let me know that she made it home safe. So, but that's the service that's out there. They do an excellent job, and I would encourage you to take advantage of it. But I just really appreciate that, I can leave town and it's like, it's perfect. Couple other items that I wanted to just touch on real quickly. I really appreciate the workshop we had earlier. There was a couple of comments that came up later that I just want to touch on just because it's things we've talked about, and so came to mind, so I'll bring it up. One was the decibel meter that potentially our folks could have. That was, I think it's a great idea. It was an idea that, frankly, I talked to, Mike, who was here for that, is, as he mentioned, he's a sound guy. That's professionally, not just, appreciating it, that he's professional, has been a professional at that. So, so that was one of the ideas we had talked about, and he actually said, I appreciate that, but that's not really going to work. And he actually showed me some video evidence of it and some pictures of it, where unfortunately those really low bass sounds do not show up on the decibel meter. So we've got to find some other way to do it. I would love it. That'd be the most straightforward way, but the biggest issue are those low bass sounds, and it does not pick those up. So, but great idea. But I want to just put that out there. The other thing was the business license. 15 years ago, when I was first getting on the council, one of the things that came up was the business license. And so at the time, I did quite a bit of research on it. I actually interviewed the Weston mayor and town administrator at the time, spoke to a number of the other towns around, trying to get an idea of their impression of the business license, how that works, and whether it would work for our town. And here's the feedback I got, was that it was really, from a financial standpoint, it was a money loser. It was not a money winner, because all the work tends to be, or the 80% of the work, I don't want to say all, 80% of the work tends to be in a very short period of time when you have to do the annual renewals for it. So you have to staff up for that. Well, we don't have the staff for that, so we would have to bring in probably contract help to do that. They have much bigger organizations, so they can take people from other parts of their town administration to work on that for a couple of months and then do it. So anyway, just to say, it's probably about time we relook at that. I'm not saying that was a long time ago, and I get that. So it's a good idea. It's probably worth re-looking at, but I just wanted to pass on that. It's not like we haven't looked at it. We actually did look at it. It didn't make sense at the time. Probably worth looking at again. And with that, just once again, certainly wish Andy a quick recovery and hope to get him back here very soon. All right, any legal comments?
Mayor, just again, apologize. It was a heck of a night last night. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
Real briefly, the town got notice from the Court of Appeals today that Pines will have to remove its fence gate at 207th Terrace, which will mean that the residents who live there will have a direct means again of access
Great.
to Griffin Road. It also means that Pines graciously gave us a $2 million road that we would have had to split the funding for.
Right.
So
Right.
thanks to them for that. The Court of Appeals 5 minutes ago just ruled that we won one of two Atlas investment cases. That was the resident who had a party house on Volunteer. And the Court of Appeals ruled that the town was in the right to close their parties under a writ of certiorari, and will be awarding attorneys' fees and costs for that matter as well. So other than that, no further updates.
Very good. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate it. All right. Administrative comments. Russell.
Thank you, Mayor. Just real brief. Also want to wish Andy a speedy recovery. Been talking to him, and we expect him back on Tuesday after the holiday.
Great.
I'm certainly looking forward to that, so that he won't keep sending me so many things. Anyway, just also wanted to make council and the residents aware that the town, in partnership with Memorial Healthcare System, will be doing a first ever health fair that we'll be doing open to the residents as well as town staff. That will take place on Tuesday, June 6th from 3 to 6 p.m. It'll be right here in the council chambers, and they'll be doing all kinds of screenings. They'll have some practitioners here, some technicians here to do things like cholesterol screenings, blood pressure screenings, and things like that. So we'll be doing that on June 6th at 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. here at Town Hall. We'll be promoting this via all of our available social media channels and
Great.
certainly website and everything else. So just wanted to make everybody aware.
Perfect. Great. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Item number 10.
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving a service order between the Town of Southwest Ranches and ClearGov, Inc. for a cloud-native budget cycle management software suite at first-year cost of $6,625.00, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into the agreement and providing an effective date.
Ready? Do I have a motion on the item?
Motion to approve?
A second. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
I'm
You had me
sorry.
worried there for a second. All right, have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, is there any public discussion on this item?
Noah Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. Same questions I had last time on this. Has there been any discussion as to other municipalities within South Florida that have had it and the reaction to this piece of software? And I don't hear anything before on this, and it seems like it's just going to slide right through, not knowing if anybody has had any positive or negative input on this from other municipalities, especially of our size or similar size. The other thing is, since this is going to save so much time and effort, who are they letting go? Because they said it's going to be a big time saver, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just curious about that. Or are we going to let him build his empire? I hate empire building among the departments. Always have. Slow growth because we have a need for additional residents or additional services, yes. But when we're doing the same service and costing more and expanding the department more, that I have a problem with. So therefore, I have a problem with it. So what are we going to do? And also, the amount of increase every year. Now, we put a maximum 3%, but it's going to be cost of living. So if we have like what happened last year where it went up like 5-6%, it would max out at 3%. But if it's 2.2%, then it only goes up 2.2%. That's what I think is reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you, Noel. Any other public comment on this item? Seeing none, public comment is closed. We do, whenever we go through part of the selection process, we certainly look at references. We certainly look to see what other customers, normally municipalities, have done on this. So that's part of our normal process. As far as, we always want to operate more efficiently, and that's important because, frankly, there's always new complexities. There's always unfunded mandates. There's always new ways that the world gets more complex and more difficult to do our job. So we're always happy to get a situation like this where we can make the world a little more simpler, smoother, and efficient. So I think it's good. Any other comments from the council? Seeing none, if we can please call the roll.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Albritton?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Item number 11, please.
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches approving a lease agreement between the Town of Southwest Ranches and the Scioli Group, LLC, which establishes the scope and compensation to the town for the Southwest Ranches Community Farmers Market, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into an agreement and providing an effective date.
I'd like some discussion before anything, or do we need to make a motion?
Need to make the motion in a second, and we can discuss and then modify
Okay.
if we need to.
I'll make the motion, but I'm probably going to amend it.
Okay.
Or
Thank you.
hopefully I'll amend it.
Right.
To
Do I-
approve.
Do I have a second on that?
Second it.
Okay, thank you. Gary, I'm going to give the floor to you.
Okay, I'm trying to find it in the, my
While you look for it, I'll just say, so this is for the group that handles our farmers market, and they've been fantastic partners. I also have some concerns about the contract itself, but as far as the partners and the relationship that we've built, I could not be any happier. Just great folks. They've year one to year two, they were not content with what we did in year one. They worked to make it even better in year two, which is important and what I'm always looking for as well. So overall, they've been excellent partners. This now is a contract to extend it quite a ways into the future, and I suspect that's one of the things, Gary, you're going to be talking about. But
I found it.
You found it? Good. It's all yours.
Yeah, it's on page 3, and it deals with concession alcohol sales.
Oh, okay.
I really think that that needs to be prohibited on that site. I think we'll be opening up a Pandora's box that we don't open up. I could see Carnival. I could see whatever else is coming up in the future.
Yep.
We have one venue right now, which is the barn,
Yep.
where alcohol is permitted, and it's under some fairly stringent, rules. So I would like to see item I on page 3 change to any sales of any alcoholic beverages is strictly prohibited under all circumstances, or however, whatever legalese that is. It takes.
Okay.
Not really appropriate at a farmer's market. I mean, if they're selling it like craft beer or something like that, but not for.
No, I suspect that's what it is.
Is that what it is? Oh, so it's
I
not drinking on
suspect. I
site.
mean,
Yeah, it's not clear to me either.
Could certainly be abused the way it is right
Yeah,
now.
I mean,
Right.
well, according to this, you could sell 151 rum.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's all and alcohol.
Yeah.
There's no beer only or wine only.
Right.
It's an open field.
I'm surprised. I actually thought we already had that restriction for the park itself already. I thought that we specifically allowed it. Well, no, if we already have, I mean, Keith, if we already have a restriction at the park, we can't have this in conflict anyway.
Well, again, that would have been set by resolution also, so.
So this could override it.
Correct. This was put in there, again, as a licensed sale of a alcohol product that I think associated with like a farmer's market someone made.
Yeah.
It wasn't intended to be selling Johnny Walker Black,
Right.
out of the
But
park.
shot.
Right. But If you choose to make the amendment, it would just read, sale of alcohol shall be prohibited.
And sale and consumption.
That's fine.
What did you say?
Sale and consumption.
Red Solo cup.
Careful
Red
with
Solo
that now.
cups are prohibited.
Would that be for the farmer's
Somebody
market?
might
Would
bring
that
up
be
beer
just for
with
this
them,
venue?
the farm-
For the farmer's
Make a
market?
joke about the Red Solo.
No, I know.
Correct.
The consumption.
Or would
the
it be
real
for
deal.
all venues?
No, just this.
Somebody,
Just this one?
sorry, what are we talking about?
Vice Mayor just wanted to confirm it was limited to the farmer's market, that we weren't excluding alcohol at every single event in the town. It was relating
Yeah,
just
just
to
the
this
farm.
item.
Yeah.
We're really just talking about the contract.
Correct.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
talking about
Contract.
Nothing to do with the property or anything like that.
That's
If
correct.
we have a rule, to Steve's point, we'd be overriding it or,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we should leave it to the sale. I'm a little concerned that, I just don't want somebody to, I would not be surprised if somebody shows up there with a beer in their hand, you know, going out on the farmer's market.
Well,
And I don't want
I'm not
somebody.
actively seeking
I know,
something out,
I
but
know.
I think if we put it on paper, we at least have some grounds if something goes wrong.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that I think this is a farmer's market. It's a market, it's sales. So I think that we should be prohibiting the sale of it.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Are you okay with
I'm
that?
good with that, but but I can just see the,
See what? I'm missing it. So what am I missing?
oh, we got a carnival that goes on there also.
We're not, this is just the farmer's market.
I understand that, but, you know, one thing leads to another.
No, this is the contract for the farmer's market.
Okay. I just disagree. I just don't think consumption, I think consumption should be.
All right, you can put it in there. I'm not.
Yeah, solely as legal as a compromise if it goes anywhere. You can do it as open consumption. So meaning that if it's a beer and a koozie or something like that, it's different than the red Solo cup that Councilmember Jablonski was worried about.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make it into big.
No, it's all right. It's
Yeah,
just making it clear.
right.
But
That's fine.
I would amend my motion to that.
Okay.
What is it? I didn't hear you. Or understand it one. I'm
If
curious.
someone has a alcoholic beverage in the farmer's market, the motion was changed to open consumption's prohibited. So if they have a concealed alcoholic beverage, it's okay. If it's their own.
We're not checking.
We're not checking on you.
We're not
man.
checking.
If they're walking around with a beer bottle in their hand or a can, it's not good. If they're walking around with a Solo cup, it's all right. Because nobody knows what's in it.
There you go.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's one way to say it.
There you go.
Any other?
That was it.
That's it. All right.
I think I did enough damage.
I don't know what else to say.
Do we have anything? Any other adjustments? I'm afraid to open my mouth. I think. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Mayor,
Russell.
just it's brought to my attention. I haven't been out to the farmers market in a while, but some of the food trucks that are out there may be and permitted by the state to sell. They may be selling things out there right now.
Not anymore.
No,
Yeah,
well,
no, I understand. I just want you to be aware of that, and so obviously there's going to be a change to the use there if that's what the policy direction is.
yeah, I was there, I go every couple of weekends, and I use the food trucks. I usually buy sodas there. I've never seen anybody selling anything, no beer.
I don't remember it. I'm not. I wouldn't.
No, I was
wouldn't-
just there
yeah.
with my daughter. We walked to the food trucks because she's an aficionado.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But it certainly would not be now. All right. All right. I think we're all right. All right. Deborah, please call the roll.
Quick.
Oh, public comment. Do we have any public comment, Newell? Thank you.
Now, I'm speaking from experience with the Broward County Fair
Yes. Right.
on your open containers. You're asking for a big problem. I agree that it should be prohibited in its entirety. The fair had nothing but problems because they had a beer garden and they said it can't be outside the beer garden, and they had a little fence around it. And they had to put 3 police officers there to keep it in the beer garden. If you allow alcohol beverages to be sold in the container and it goes off, they're going to open the can as soon as they walk away and start drinking. And that's the case. And we're going to have to arrest them. And that is the case. And then they're going to fight. And that's going to be bad. So avoid the problem. Make it prohibited. The other thing is, I'd like to see this to be revenue neutral. On the last page, Ted, Town of Southwest Ranches responsibility. We are responsible for providing, which is a cost, portable restrooms until we build the permanent one. Hand washing facilities for customers and vendors, which means you've got to have a potable truck. Access to a dumpster, which means you have to put a dumpster on site. Those are costs that the town is doing right now. Okay, that was fine for the start. If they want a contract to continue, that means they're making a profit. It should be revenue neutral, if not a profitable to the town. Make it revenue neutral. Make him responsible for the dumpsters and the potable water and the restrooms. Those are the three costs that we have. You've already got him cleaning up the place and taking care of the other stuff. These are responsibilities that are definitely belong to them. We made the country fair do it, so let's make him do it. It's just fair. That's all. If we made the country fair do it, he can do it also. Thank you.
Thank you, Newell.
Got up here for something else.
Yeah.
Jill Aronoff.
There you go.
188th Avenue. I don't see any need for any alcohol beverages at the farmer's market. It's fun the way it is. There's a lot of children. There's a petting zoo and everything. Let's just leave it that way if we can. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jill.
Debbie Green. I agree. I don't think there's a need for alcohol at the farmer's market. I don't believe there is any there now, but who knows? There could be in one of those food trucks or whatever. But I honestly, for this event, I don't think there's a need for it. I do think they've been the Scioli, or the group that puts this together. I think they've done a wonderful job. I think they listen. Also, now they've been able now to bring in someone that has a big area of produce and vegetables and fruits and all of that stuff. So I think they've done a great job in putting it together, and hope they just grow it for us. And I guess they are doing a service. I mean, I guess they're not doing it out of their own goodwill. They're providing a service to the town, and it's their business in organizing this for the town. For the town, it is of giving back to the residents, and I think it's something that the residents have wanted, and for it to be here every Saturday is, I think, wonderful.
Right. Great. Thank you, Debbie.
Mayor, if I could just add one other thing related to the dumpster costs. There is actually no cost due to our agreement with Waste Management. So Waste Management provides the dumpster out there at no cost to the town.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor, I have one quick change before it's voted
Yeah.
upon. I don't want to call it a lease agreement. We can call it a license agreement or a use agreement. And the reason is a technicality that I dealt with in another city. If we call it a lease agreement, we have to report it to the property appraiser, and the property could potentially become taxable. So instead, I'd rather just call it a use agreement. To clarify, it's just like any other user who rents the park for a day.
Gotcha.
Just wanna
Makes
make it
sense.
clear.
Good, thank you. So we have two amendments to it. One is the prohibiting alcohol, either sale or use, and then the other one is from a lease agreement to a use agreement. All right, so can you amend your
question?
Yeah, go ahead.
It just occurred to me based on what Noel was saying. Special event permit, is there a charge for that?
I think so.
There's
I don't know. I shouldn't say that.
Who
I'm
you're
not
saying,
sure.
Yeah, there.
We do.
What is that charge?
We do have a fee for special event permits. Off the top of my head, is it 100? Yeah, 225.
So,
The answer was 225.
okay, so the 225 is for the year or for the event, for
Well,
the
we
day,
don't
month?
charge the farmers market because we consider this a community event.
$150 a time.
Council member.
Well, that's my question, is because
This
it's two separate, it's in two separate areas. Is there a permit fee and the 150 per event? Or is one taking care of the whole thing? Do you understand what I'm trying to-
Which number are you
I may
looking
not be
at?
explaining. I'm looking at item G, special event licensees shall maintain a
Okay,
special event permit.
Councilmember Jablonski is correct, and I didn't draft this. December, did you draft this? Who put this together from the staff?
Can you come to them?
Okay, so Councilmember Jablonski is correct, and I don't know what the intent was, but this requires them to have a special event permit plus the $150 use agreement. If that's the intent, then the intent's properly codified. If it was the intent only to have $150, then that clause has to change.
Yeah, we've never instituted a permit charge for, or special event charge for them to be out there. But the $150 revenue has certainly been there on the event days.
But I'm sorry, I missed the second half of that statement.
We have gotten basically a revenue agreement with them where we've gotten compensation for those event days, and so that's what's in here, the $150. But we don't charge them a special event.
Special event, you're right.
Currently.
Right, so the $150 is really in lieu of the special event. So we should adjust that accordingly.
Should that be taken out then?
Yeah,
That's
I
correct.
think so.
The way the current contract's written, it would be $425 each time. If it's the intent of only $150, that needs to come out.
And that's what we're charging now, is the $150, correct? So we want to continue what we're.
December,
what?
you want to come up for a minute? Hang on, let's.
Yeah, it's written properly, but I don't know what their intent is. You
The
understand?
current rate
Properly.
that they're paying now is $130 per market day. The new agreement that starts now is $150 per market day, and at the extension, and that's at their suggestion. You know, they
Yeah.
suggested an increase, and then they suggested another increase if we renew it again after the third year to $175 per market day. And their original agreement with us last year started with $110 per market day.
Okay.
And this agreement is a draft that was adapted from their agreement with Wilton Manors. We went over it before, but it was a trial period, so we didn't have the chance to come here and do that because we put it together in February and started the market in March last year. So I think that's why these questions feel new. Also, to the extent about the conversation around alcohol, I know you guys have decided, but that has been in this agreement. There's not been any problems. They have had some people that served some kind of daiquiri, some special fruit things or whatever, and I know that there were food trucks that were offering Modelo's and stuff like that. If you don't want to do that, that's okay. I don't think they're attached to it. It just happened to be in the original agreement, and so these are items that we're just looking at together for the first time, I guess.
Great, thank
That
you,
answer?
December.
And Mayor, I just want to address Newell's comment, just so the public understands, because they may not see this in front of them. There's a clause G in the contract. It's written properly. It says licensees shall maintain a special event permit from the town of Southwest Ranches. There's nothing wrong with that clause. The question is, was that intended by the council? Because that clause means that they'd have to pay $150 that's in the contract plus $275 for every time they have the event.
225, but yeah.
$275
I think you
plus
said
$150.
225.
225, I apologize.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think, they've been straightforward, and I appreciate the fact that they've actually increased it. I'm comfortable with that. I don't want to charge them the extra. Listen, at the end of the day, they provide a great service to our town. We've been trying to have this farmers market for years and years and years, and frankly, it took a lot to get the location in place, to get everything in place. And at the end of the day, we have to get there has to be a product out there that will draw our residents to it, that's of a certain quality, variety, and consistency that our residents will want to be there and will be consistently going there on a regular basis. And that's what they've delivered. I think at the end of the day, if we did not have them and we had to organize this ourselves, it would cost us a lot more money than what we're spending here. And we don't really have the staff to do it. So at the end of the day, you know what? We wouldn't have a farmer's market. So we're very fortunate to have a quality partner that we're working with, and it works for them, it works for the town, and I'm excited to see this contract extended out and have this continue for years to come.
So Mayor, to bring that to fruition, you would just remove that clause?
Yes, that's what I would like to see.
Yeah, I have
Let's finish that up first, okay? So are we all in agreement that we can remove that clause?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, okay, go ahead.
So I'll make them, I'll modify the motion.
Okay,
again,
perfect.
But I want to, one more thing I want to pick up on, and that is, deals with animals, where it's only service animals may be permitted at the event and shall remain on leash at all times. That automatically puts out a petting zoo.
That's correct.
That's gone.
Oh, well, we don't want to lose that.
I'm pointing it out.
Even
And I've read this thing like 3 times
Yeah.
before we got here, and then none of it,
Yeah.
you know.
even the service animal thing, I mean, people bring their dogs there all the time. There's usually 4 or 5
Yeah,
dogs.
I know. I see, whenever I'm there, I see, cute
Yeah.
little dogs.
I think that whole paragraph should go away.
The whole page?
No, no.
Paragraph, I said paragraph.
So under that
It's only
amendment,
one line.
under that, item I would be removed
Yeah.
from the contract if there's a consensus.
Yeah. We're an animal town.
Let me see what else I can find. No,
Yeah,
okay.
my goodness.
All right, so I'll amend my motion that we previously discussed with the alcohol. We remove section G on the special event permit, and we remove section I on
know.
only service animals.
And the one other thing,
And we change it from lease to a use.
exactly, just one other comment. We're going to have to renumber this, re-letter it,
Yeah.
so I just want to make sure that's clear as well. And then I'm confused where you wind up on alcohol. Is it no consumption, no alcohol, or?
Just
Yeah.
get rid of it all.
Okay,
Yeah. Ex-nay on the alcohol.
perfect. I just want to make sure it's documented.
It's gone.
Nobody's checking cups, but.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was an adventure.
Jeez.
That was good. That was good. I was good. Good changes.
No, this
Yeah.
is a good thing for the town. I mean,
Right.
We've got to make
Yeah.
sure we dot the i's and cross the t's.
Perfect.
As we go along.
Right.
And like I said, I'd like to see the petting zoo when it's
Yeah.
there, because it draws the kids.
It does.
And
Yeah.
draws the families, stuff
Right.
like that. So,
Good stuff. All right, Deborah, I think we're ready.
Councilmember Hartman,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski,
yes,
Vice Mayor Albritton,
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz,
Yes.
motion passed.
all right.
All right.
What's left?
I guess we are on approval of minutes.
Motion to approve, both April and May.
Second.
All right, do we have any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, any public discussion on the minutes? Seeing none. All right, Deborah, if you can call the roll.
Councilmember Hartman,
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Albritton,
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz.
Yes.
Minutes passed.
outstanding, and it's that time of night. Motion to adjourn.
Excellent. Great. Thank you all for coming out. Very much appreciate it.
Everybody have a great night.
Good night.